This is my Talbot Matra Rancho body swap project, and in this update the car doesn't look any different, but it is different. Obviously originally it used to look like this, or a worse version of this, but now the underpinnings of the Subaru Impreza WRX are starting to be married with the cab of the Matra Rancho. It's now a 7-seat, which it would have been as an option originally. So there's some floor here that wasn't there before. There's also some sill area, and crucially, one of the hardest things to do is to tie the cab, because it's based upon a single cab pickup, the Rancho, tie the cab into the structure of the Impreza, because this is a body swap after all, and to make sure a door can sit at the right angle and open successfully. And of course, all the while trying to get rid of some of the ghastly rust that it might have had. So in this episode, we'll show you how far we have come at Yorkshire Car Restorations. I'm Jonny Smith. This is the Late Break Show. So if you're not familiar with this project, the Matra Rancho is basically ahead of its time. It came out in the late 70s and it really was the first kind of crossover SUV type thing without being a proper four-wheel drive. And it was available as a 7-seater, but it was only two-wheel drive. It was never four-wheel drive. This is going to be four-wheel drive because it is basically a Subaru Impreza. That is not a Subaru Impreza. That's Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Good to see you.
I'm just enjoying a nice coffee from my brand new tyre mug.
Oh, wow. Where did you get that from, Ryan?
Well, very good source. From the Late Break Show, of course.
What, from the merch shop?
Yes.
Wow, let's have a look at the bottom of it. That's amazing. Sorry that you poured your invisible drink out. I'm wearing some merch too, which I also got from the Late Break Show merch shop. My fleece-lined, lovely thin silhouette beanie, which I need on a winter's day such as this.
Yes. I need one of those as well.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to get one from the merch store.
Yes, you will.
So,
anyway,
I'm sat in.
You're sat in the 7-seat bit.
I am, indeed. So, actually, on one of our previous episodes, we managed to fabricate all of this from just about one piece. Now, this is where the 7 seats go. So, you've got rear-facing passengers, usually kids sitting here. Yeah. But we've fabricated a brand new state-of-the-art, nice footwell in here to be able to accommodate the rear passengers, because on the Subaru there used to be a big spare wheel well in here.
That's right.
With our Subaru, this was all cut out because it was used for a different project before you got the car.
Yeah.
But we fabricated this nice, majestic rear footwell.
Is it like wrapping up a present that's kind of spherical?
Pretty much.
Like wrapping up a bowl?
Yes, pretty much.
It's not like a box.
And we're not talking paper, we're talking, good sheet steels. 1.2 millimeter sheet steel, and this also provides a lot of structure on the back end of this car anyway, because there's no structure that goes up here like used to be on the Subaru Impreza because it was a monocoque car. This is obviously an open top. It's of
course a pickup.
Yeah, a pickup.
This is all glass fibre up here, isn't it?
Exactly.
Which is somewhere over there.
Yeah, and that doesn't provide any structure.
Yeah.
So we had to really thicken this up, get some structure in there, and make it all nice. So yeah, it turned out really nice.
It's great.
And if I step out, we've obviously placed the seats in there just for reference, but you can see in there that this is all just about one piece. We've put some nice gussets in here, and then if I remove these seats, you can see kind of a temporary permanent bar which ties these strut towers together, because as I said before, the Subaru used to come up around the back window and down, and that actually tied these two strut towers together. Yeah. Now we are utilising the original running gear for this, so these need to be nice and strong. And as you can see here, that's all nice and tied in to the floor.
That's neat.
It's all nicely welded in there. Yeah. We made sure to blow out all the chassis rails, the original chassis rails that were in there as well.
I saw that.
And they are in good condition, so. Also, there's a lot of wasted space in here because obviously the seats kind of lean back on each other. Yeah. So we're utilising that space to really strengthen this car up. Yeah. And there's a lot of load going through here, and this will flex slightly if it's not actually tied into anything. Again, with the Subaru having that rear monocoque, this is really important to maintain strength and to get it through a roadworthy test as well. Yeah. So obviously we're making two become one.
We are doing two become one, which he won't say it on camera because he's polite. He actually hates me for bringing that song up because he then hears it in his head for weeks on end.
I do. Next week it'll still be in my head.
So when you're watching any of the Yorkshire Car Restoration videos where Ryan is wearing headphones, which you do most of the time.
I do, yes.
He's just listening to the Spice Girls non-stop.
We can utilise all of this space to make something nice in there.
Yeah.
Tie these all together. Bada bing, bad boom. We do need to also think about the dimension between this and this.
Yeah.
Now we do have the frame.
You've got the twin tailgate frame, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got the frame that bolts onto here and bolts onto that, but that does also flex out.
Yeah.
So to get the actual dimension of this, we need to put the rear tailgates on and tie this in with the rear tailgate, make sure all that works. And then obviously we won't have big gaps between the rear tailgate. But we're getting there.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. That's really cool. Forgive me for repeating myself. If you've been following this, because it's a Subaru, that bit there, that's a Subaru, the whole chassis is a Subaru. You've got the inner structure of the Subaru. You've unpicked the outer sill from the Impreza.
Yes, correct.
And you're going to custom make, or you've started to custom make outer sills.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah. So this section on the Rancho was non-existent anyway. So,
I don't know what you're talking about. What you mean it was totally rotten?
yeah, it was totally rotten, not going to lie. So we've actually made some nice sill panels which are down there. But as you mentioned, this inner structure, it's a major structural part of the car.
Yeah.
So we've kept this from the Subaru, and then we're just going to put like some cladding, let's say, of our made sill panels on here to make it all, you know, look original.
Yeah.
We do need to actually extend the sill downwards because the inner sills of the Subaru are actually deeper than the sills of the Rancho. So we've actually made an extended sill which comes down and then meets this because the Rancho was only about there. It was a very tiny sill, so we're obviously extending it. The important thing is to tie it into this pinch weld on the bottom because this provides a lot of structure to the car. Obviously we've got it on the jig at the moment on the pinch welds, but once we do tie all of this in together, especially to tie this into this inner structure, the two inner structures together, then we can start putting the sills on, take it off the jig, and then finish the sills there.
You've repaired this hole in the quarter panel.
Yeah.
But you've also put the corrugations in.
Yes, so we always like to make things look original. Now, I could make it really easy and just cut all this out and put a blank plate in there, but it won't look original. Even though you'll never see it once it's done, I always like to make things original.
Yeah.
And this was a hole, if you remember, where the relocated fuel tank was. And this was where they put the fuel tank position. Now, it's actually further back on the original one, but because they've done the conversion on the actual Rancho itself, they made it into an accessible one.
Yes, of course.
They actually cut a hole in here and they put the petrol tank underneath the driver's seat.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because this was a wheelchair access converted car. So we had to try and work, or you've been trying to work out what is wheelchair access and what is OEM.
Yeah.
And when I found that white one in the field, we managed to salvage the 7 seats out of it, and also I took some video of I took as much of the bracketry as I could, so that we got a reference point. Because the thing is about this is there's so few complete Ranchos in the UK. At the last count, it's something like 6, and the most immaculate one is left-hand drive. Big shout out to Matt, who owns that one, and hopefully I'll be driving that one soon. But so in an ideal world, you'd want one parked next to it that you can just constantly ref.
If we could, that'd be brilliant.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because referencing like dimensions that we need and everything, because there was so little of the Rancho left, and bits have probably dropped off on the way, you know, when it got delivered. But it would be very easy and very simple to just cross-reference dimensions, cross-reference bracketry and all that sort of stuff. Because obviously everything, floor pan, sills, all the bulkhead is Subaru. So we can still utilise the Subaru running gear, we can utilise the Subaru fuel tank as well. So there's no need to have this here, where the relocated fuel tank was. And there's no need to have the Rancho fuel tank anyway, because we're using the Subaru one.
Of course.
So with the rear footwell as well, there's a lot of wells going on. We've tied it in to the original height of the spare wheel well from the Subaru.
Okay.
So there's no clearance issues.
Oh, so it doesn't dip down any further?
It doesn't dip down any further. So we've utilised that. We've utilised the same distance nearly as well, so it doesn't interfere with any of the running gear.
Yeah.
because the running gear is important. That we don't want to impede any running gear with the rear footwell, so everything needs to tie in together. So we've always got to be sort of 10 steps ahead of where we are, thinking, right, if I make a big footwell here, what's it going to impact further along the build?
Yeah.
And that brings me nicely to the doors as well.
Yes, so the doors were all rotten.
Yeah.
Are nearly all rotten.
Yes.
I found some spare doors, but they were still fairly rotten. But you might remember in a previous episode, I found a genius, absolute guru of Talbot, Peugeot, this sort of car, called Dick Husband over in Wales, and he has an eBay shop, and he had new old stock repair panels.
Yep.
Which is what that outer skin is,
Which
right?
you can see here.
Right.
Because the bottom of this door was non-existent. It may have looked good on first sight because we had the cladding on here, if you remember.
Oh yeah, of
which
course.
Is the same as this.
Which is all on obtainium as well.
And it looks really nice, but then we took the cladding off and there was just like nothing left, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we've utilised this panel that you supplied as the bottom of the door.
Yeah.
And we've just tacked it on for now, just in case we do need to make any modifications to the bottom of this door to make anything fit. Because, you know, with it being a Rancho onto a Subaru, we could come across some complications. So we've just tacked that on for now.
Yeah.
And also, we need to place the door so it meets the sill, because it's very important to get the correct dimension on your gaps between your door, your sill, your door and your wing.
And all of the apertures, I suppose.
And all of the apertures,
because
we've got full 360 around the door that needs to be correct.
Yeah.
And that's the only problem. So in here, you actually have your fiberglass body which goes in there, and it's riveted all the way down.
Yeah.
So this gap needs to be taken into consideration. But if we were to put like a 4 or 5 mil gap and then put the shell on there, it just wouldn't work.
Right.
Because it'd be too close to the door. So this is what I'm saying about being 10 steps ahead of, you know, what you are, because you need to think about everything.
Well, the Yorkshire Car Restoration guys have been documenting every step of this and every problem. And there is a dedicated episode just on door hinges.
Oh, door
which
hinges.
sounds dull, but it's actually I know it's a source of frustration, but it's really good to watch to understand. It's one of the most important parts of the body swap.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things where it's so hard to articulate what you're trying to solve.
Yes.
In words.
Yeah, it is difficult. I tried to show people with, you know, like a diagram, but it's just hard to sort of trying to explain it, because we've got the hinges that are in here, and everything rotates around those hinges, but also you've got the thickness of the door from the outside of the door to the hinges, which is going to cantilever itself out. Yeah. And then this needs to tuck into this wing as well.
It can't foul the wing.
Exactly.
And it has to have the, like you say, uniform gap here, here.
Yeah.
And then we have the problem, the biggest problem.
Yes.
You've said the elephant in the room, which is
this A-pillar situation that we need to tie in, and the thickness of this.
Yeah.
So with the A-pillar of the Subaru being wider than the A-pillars dimension-wise of the Rancho, that means that we've had to countersink your door into the Subaru.
Yeah.
So the door's gone in, because if we were to tie this in with the A-pillar, just like, you know, with the Rancho hinges, then your door would come on an angle like that. It would come out too far. Right. So we've got to sink this into there. Now, we could cut the A-pillar, but that's a major structural part of the car.
Yeah.
We can't disturb the A-pillar too much, because then we've got to tie this into the A-pillar, and everything needs to be nice.
Yeah.
So we've sunk the door into the A-pillar by cutting the internals of the door.
Yeah.
It may affect the dashboard slightly, but we can cut around the dashboard. That's not really a problem. We can come to that when we try and test fit it. But it needs to work with the wing. So I spent a full episode trying to get my head around the hinges and make the hinges work with the Subaru A-pillar. Yeah. And it's not just a case of cutting the A-pillar off here and putting the Rancho A-pillar on, because the Rancho was how many horsepower?
60, 70?
60, 70 horsepower.
Yeah.
We've got 230 horsepower, which we're putting back into here, and you're thinking possibly of putting more in there.
Possibly more.
But we can't use the A-pillar of this, because not only is it tied into the bulkhead and all of this wing section, but it needs to be strong enough to support the power plant that's going to be in there. Yeah. That's the only problem.
The bit that's sawn off right next to Ryan's hand, that's the base of the Subaru windscreen. This is the glue where the screen was.
Yes.
And so this is all Subaru. What's annoying is that my car, the Rancho was red and the Subaru was red. If they were like blue and yellow, it'd be easier. And then this, which we can wobble actually, can't we?
Yep, that's not tied into anything yet.
This cab is the Rancho cab, but you've got this discrepancy of width here, width here. We can't change the windscreen shape. So what Ryan is thinking is this, you can feel that width there, that A-pillar, you can widen that A-pillar potentially.
Yes, correct.
Because it needs repairing anyway.
Yeah.
So you'd move the gutter out or extend the gutter. This distance would be wider. This aperture stays the same for the screen to fit.
Yeah.
And then it bows out onto here maybe.
Yep. So the important thing is trying to maintain this windscreen aperture, so we can use the original windscreen. Now, with the Rancho being more narrow than what the Subaru is, we've placed the door, and you can see your discrepancy here. You can see a big gap here, and then it goes to a smaller gap all the way to the back, where it has to tie in with the Rancho. So what we're going to have to do is cut up here and extend this out to make a wider sort of windscreen surround, and the rain rail as well to cover this gap and make this work and make it look seamless. But also with the door being slightly further out, we've got to think about the wing as well. So there's a lot of things to think about all at the same time.
There is.
But the reason why I've placed the door first and not the body first is because the door has to work with the A-pillar.
Yes, because this is still Subaru.
Yes, this is still Subaru, and I've sort of Frankensteined some hinges in here just to show that the concept works, and then I can tidy them up. But the importance is getting the inner A-pillar of the Subaru, which is this section here that goes out towards you, and getting that to tie in with the inner of the Rancho. So once you open the door, it's nice and seamless and it comes down.
We did talk just beforehand while you were drinking your real coffee out of the Late Break Show mug.
Yes.
Because this is very rotten, do we consider making this part of the A-pillar and maybe this structure here tubular like a roll cage, and then cladding it effectively in the sheet steel?
Of the outer skin of this.
The outer skin of this, so that the structure is a tubular frame, or do you repair and extend what you have? And you've ummed and ahed about this, right? We still don't know.
Yeah, there's a few challenges that does present to us, but it also provides a solution for a lot of things that we are facing at the moment. So there's a lot of challenges in this build that we've not yet come across. But if we were to tie, because this is like triple skins, people don't realise that this is not just an outer section. This is a main structural part of the car, which we have to maintain. You've got 3 skins in some places.
This is enormous.
Yeah. So in relation to the Rancho is single, maybe double skinned, but this is like double, triple skinned, and it's thicker stuff as well. To tie this flimsy old Rancho piece into this really, really strengthened piece here is going to be difficult, and that's what the roll cage could potentially solve. So we can tie the roll cage into the A-pillar and have the outside of this section covering the roll cage and have it going all the way to the back and possibly even across to your strut towers right at the back. So from your finger there, yes, exactly.
Triangulate.
Yeah, triangulate it to that. And that could possibly solve a number of problems.
It would look very sports and utility.
It would, because through the window you'd be able to see that roll cage
a little bit of frame. Wings. Bit of a call to action, viewers. As you know, Ranchos are not exactly common. I've got, how many wings have I got? Have I got 4 front wings or maybe 5?
5 front wings.
I've managed to find 5 front wings. None of them are very good. If you know of any front wings from a Rancho that they might be a bit tatty, but they're not like rotten, can you let me know? There's an email address that I'll put in the description, main Late Break Show. I would love to. And talking of which, there's several people have come forward and said, I've got some lights that fit that if you're interested. So I am interested. There's various things I'm interested in. Try me.
So talking about A-pillars tying in, like I said, we spent a full episode trying to get these hinges to work. Now, this is kind of where the wing's going to be placed. We've had to cut a lot of the wing inner out to make it fit onto the Subaru A-pillar. But if we open this door here, you can see that it actually, not only does it work, but it actually clears the wing as well. So you can see there
Yeah.
that actually clears the wing.
Yes.
Which is nice, which
Yeah.
was a real challenge.
A real headache, yeah.
That was a real headache.
Yeah.
And you can see in here, we've used that original panel that you've...
Oh yeah, the new old stock panel for the door corners and lower part, because that was all rotten.
Yes, there was. This was kind of non-existent. We do still need to finish this off. We need to crimp this edge around. We need to put some seam sealer in there. We need to fully weld this on, but that's just tacked on for now,
Yeah.
and we know that it works.
And you needed that edge to get the alignment.
Yeah, exactly. So the alignment of this is 100% needed to make it look original.
Yeah.
So once this is closed, you can see
it's being square there.
Yeah, it ties in nicely here.
And
now, this side, this is the sill section, or the top of the sill for the Rancho.
Yes.
This goes up and down. We didn't know where to put this. So we made sure that the Subaru was 100% level to the millimetre.
Yeah.
And then we measured this corner from the ground, which the ground's nice and level,
Yeah.
and measured this corner from the ground. So we know that this door is 100% level.
Yeah.
And the sill, in turn, will follow the line of that door. And talking about the sill, if I was to open this again, you can see down here.
Oh yeah. So if I press it here, I don't know if I can demonstrate. So this is Rancho. This aperture is original Rancho cap. If I, because he's drilled out the spot welds on the Subaru and the Rancho, can you see this line? This line here meets. And when that is welded in place, it will look surprisingly factory. And then, of course, the outer sill being the shape that Ryan wants it to be, which is down there, those ones that you've handmade. It's really impressive the way that the way that is married.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
The major hurdle is making these doors work and fit and look good. And then once the door is closed, then we can use this door to then place the Rancho.
Yeah.
Because you can flex this quite a lot. This flexes from there to there.
Yeah.
So we need to place this correct, get this gap 100% correct.
Yeah.
Get this gap 100% correct, and then that'll show where this needs to tie in.
Yeah.
And obviously vice versa. So
But we haven't decided whether we go tubular or whether we go flat metal yet.
Yeah, that's I'm swaying towards tubular now.
Ah,
I am.
you see?
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah,
Well, maybe you're a roll cage manufacturer and you might be able to help with fabricating the necessary thing here that you can then clad or marry with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that will make it stronger, torsionally more rigid, but also safer, I guess. As well.
It will.
So get in touch.
Exactly. So it will be a challenge, just like everything else on this car. But with the door, it then brings us onto these wings.
Yeah.
Now, like you say, you've got 5 or 6 different wings.
All rotten.
We were going to spend an episode winging it, but we decided not to because these are all rotten.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, behind this cladding, it's rotten. You've got rot here. All this is rotten across here. This is probably one of the better ones. It looks not too bad on the outside, but on the inside, it's rotten.
Yeah.
And this is really thin steel.
I will call, like I say, I'll put a call out. These are the same as a Simca 1000 pickup because that was what the Rancho was based on, a simple farmer's pickup, basically with some clever cladding. But I might consult my Avengers Sunbeam Owners Club friends as well. You know who you are. The other thing to mention, because the car is a wider track, and we said this before, the Subaru is always wider than the Rancho. This is just hooked on, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
This top part here is probably going to have to be repaired anyway, but extended because sit further out so that the wheel arches cover the wheels.
Yeah, so the dimension from inner wing to inner wing on the Subaru is about 120 mil wider than what it is on the Rancho.
It's 120.
Something, yeah, I'm pretty sure from memory that's what it is.
That's a lot.
But also, if I was to, you can rotate this down and up.
Yeah.
Because the Rancho was a lot more boxy.
Yes.
Whereas the Subaru comes down on an angle.
Of course.
So we need to refabricate all of this section to make it meet the wings as well.
Yeah.
But then it begs the question, do we extend the wings into the bonnet? So if we place the bonnet 100% central, do we extend the wings into the bonnet, or do we cut the bonnet in half and put a makeshift piece in the bonnet to extend the bonnet
Make the bonnet
outwards?
wider.
Yes. And I could go ahead and fabricate all this, make the wing fit, you know, make the door fit, weld everything on, and then I try and place the bonnet, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then maybe I've got a bigger gap here because, you know, this isn't 100% square. So again, you need to be 10 steps ahead of what you actually are.
Yeah. It's going to be the best of several worlds for me.
Yes.
It's going to be like the acceptable face of an SUV because it's basically an Impreza estate, but not. But it is. Well, it's like a halfway house between a Forester, an Impreza and something else. But yeah.
It's going to be a very special car, a one of one, very special car.
It will be one of one.
Yeah.
So inside, 3 rows of seats, fantastic. We're going to reuse, or we're almost certain we're going to reuse the front Rancho seats.
Yes.
So we're not using Subaru seats.
No.
These were the ones I think, I've got a combination of some second-hand ones I got from Dick, ones from my car,
Yep.
which didn't exist back here,
No.
and then these ones from the white Field Find Rancho.
I think we only had the front 2 seats in the original Rancho. We didn't have these ones.
Yes.
And then you managed to find the rear bench.
Yeah.
And then we're still missing these ones. Then you managed to get these ones from the white one,
From the
which all
white car.
match.
Yeah.
Of course, these need retrimming.
Yes.
But the actual bare bones are still good.
Yes.
So that's the important thing.
Yeah. So the original Rancho, and I'll put some archive catalogue shots of it up, it came with a combination of either houndstooth, which this is, or tartan, which a lot of them came with as well. And I know I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but as we're piecing together the 7-seat setup, and I guess it's like the roof is like a stepped roof on the Rancho,
Yeah.
like the original Discovery, or it predates the Discovery. So you have a sort of stadium seating, the rear seats are significantly higher than the fronts. I would like to go tartan. So in my back pocket, I have a couple of swatches. Now, I know these are tan, and I like the tan because a lot of the plastics are tan that I managed to find. So I thought green and tan always goes really well together. So do we keep a bit of tan, and do we go a bit of green, because remember this is a 70s car. This car came out in the 70s. It was probably most popular in the early 80s, but these are 2 swatches I've got from the guys at Spirit of Le Mans, solm.co.uk. And they make motorsport inspired tartan. I want to say that this, I'm really liking the little bit of yellow, but the black and green with some sort of tan that would continue. And I've noticed down there where your feet are, there's carpet. Can you see here?
Oh, yeah.
There's like tan carpet on the edges of there. So we might go. It seems ludicrous talking about this when we're at a stage where the roof isn't even connected to the rest of the car, but so this is good for morale?
Yeah, these things, morale as well. These things do need thinking about because trimming seats is not a quick task.
No.
But also we need to think about what you're trimming it with, because if we were to get this ready for paint and then you're thinking about interior, then you know it all takes time.
Yeah.
So morale as well, but yeah, you do need to think about the style of the inside.
It's important inspo. And no, I'm not telling you what colour it's going to be because it's not fully decided yet, and that is for another episode and maybe a vote just for the algorithm or something. Talking of algorithms, if you haven't already subscribed to the Late Break Show, it would mean a lot to me if you did. We're at 775,000 subs, I think, right now. We'd love to get to 1 million. And if you haven't subscribed to the not the Late Break Show, the Yorkshire Car Restoration guys, who are doing like a minute by minute build of this, so much more detailed than these episodes, go there and have a look at that. So this panel here is a very rare bit of a unicorn, new old stock, light panel front valance for a Rancho / Simca pickup. So the challenge that Ryan's got is going to have to fit this onto where the front of the Subaru was. This was cut off by Scooby Clinic because this was a repair donor car. And we're going to find some second-hand structure that was here for the Scooby, attach this at the back, at the front, so that we can put Rancho face back on it. But behind that, we need to put a radiator support panel from the Impreza because it's going to have standard Impreza ancillaries, radiator and stuff. We want all of that to fit exactly as it was with a normal Subaru Impreza. So there's a bit of a challenge here for Ryan on top of the other challenges, But I'm loving the way it's coming together. It's wonderful. At the risk of being a clickbaity so-and-so, just want to point out that these wheels, we just They were at the side of here. They're not for this car, they're for Matt Armstrong's BMW, that white one there. But we just rolled them in and we thought we'd have a quick look.
Yeah, we thought we'd just get a bit of inspiration. Yeah. And it kind of looks like a really lifted, crazy idea.
It does, like a Miami monster truck or something. But in all seriousness, in the not too distant future, we have to come up with a decision of what wheel, what tyre, and what suspension ride height, so that you can make sure that that's all factored in when you're setting the car up. And those things have not been decided. I'm mulling around the idea of a steel wheel looking thing. I'm not against a gold or a bronze. It does pay homage to the kind of Subaru World Rally type thing. Suspension wise, it's going to be slightly higher than a standard Impreza. But yeah, all of that's still undecided as yet. And then here, well, we've got some bushes.
We do, from Powerflex, which a big thanks goes out to Powerflex for sending us these. These are actually the black series, I do a different series, but we've got bushings from Powerflex throughout the whole Impreza. So everything that needs a bushing on the running gear, because as you know, we're using the original running gear for the Impreza. Yeah. We've now got brand new fresh bushings for that. So a big thanks goes out to them.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Because that's the thing, remember, all of the main ancillaries and the positions of those ancillaries, including the wiring loom and everything inside the car, is all going to stay as Impreza. So that concludes this progress report on the Talbot Matra Rancho WRX project. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you want to see all the detail of the way this car's been put together, go to Yorkshire Car Restoration's YouTube channel. There's a link in the description. And let me know in the comments what you think about my interior thoughts and maybe wheel thoughts. I'm still undecided, but there's much more important things to do in the meantime. Okay, thank you. Oh, before I forget, merch shop. I said it once, I'll say it again. Go to the merch shop. There's lots of things, from hats to mugs to fleeces, all sorts of things. Go and have a look, I dare you.